Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeannie. Michael and Jeannie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeannie Ryce.
To the brightness within you, and the truth that is rooted within me.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Today is our Memorial Day celebration, 341. And our calling number is 646-200-4169. And press 1 that puts you in queue to talk to Michael. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, sweetie. My mute button was on. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're delighted that you're here. We're delighted to be here to be in support of you. And, of course, in so doing, we get to play this little game of supporting ourselves. And our work together is that of the ancient Aramaic idea of forgiveness. Forgiveness having nothing to do with changing something that's outside of you or letting somebody off the hook for something that's happening inside of you, but rather is the tool with which you go inside yourself and change your internal conditions. And so if your mind produces some form of hostility, rage, grief, fear, pain, trauma, and the normal game is to deny ownership of that and have somebody else to blame, and tell yourself a story that's all based in a fraud, but the fraud looks like truth in your mind, so you're sure it's true, and by doing so, you get to live in blockage of truth. You get to pretend that what's going on for you is all about what somebody else did or said or didn't do or should have done or could have done or would have done, or maybe they should have had an audit done. And that's all your mind's story in order to keep you out of truth, to keep yourself blocked in a lie. And one of the ways you can tell if there's a lie going on in you and you've got some forgiveness work to do is, do you have some form of hostility or fear? Got to stop the pretense that that's about anybody else and to recognize that's about you, not about somebody else. And our Memorial Day honoring process is that of being willing to move to the level where we can own that what's going on inside of us is from ourselves, about no one else, and when we recognize that, is changeable. And in taking responsibility and changing the internal dynamics, all of a sudden, there's no need to make war anymore. So our goal is ultimately to put an end to this game called war on planet Earth. And as we do, we get to change the internal dynamic, which reflects as a change in the external world. The blame game stops. You stop having conversations about how, well, if only you would, I wouldn't have to go, and you go, oh, I'm going, maybe this is about me. Maybe I've been doing this all my life because this is mine. Maybe I've been blaming everybody else all my life because this is mine. Maybe I could stop making war on others. Maybe I could stop using derogatory language and derogatory ideas toward others and telling myself that that's the only way to protect myself. Maybe I could change that dynamic. And as I do, my world changes internally and externally. And, of course, the external change we're looking for is to get enough people on the team that are willing to take that level of responsibility and change their internal dynamic, and as they do, get free of their internalized reasons for war. Let's put an end to it. Let's stop the game. Let's own. Now, it's not going to be easy to own. When you start looking, not an easy process to do. But it can be done. And if you'd like to look, the tool for doing that, if you look on the right-hand side of our webpage, our homepage, which is at www.whyagain.com, whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, you see a link that says Download Worksheets. And the first 7 links will give you the whole forgiveness process. If you use that, you will eliminate hostility and fear from your mind, pain and diseases from your body, trauma from your relationships, and poverty from your world. It's an awesome game to play, not an easy one. Each breakthrough can come with a cost, and the cost is I have to give up a cherished belief that I think is about somebody else's, but is really about myself. If I have this big fear and concern that people are going to attack me, then I know that I'm the one who's doing the attacking, and it's all done with smoke and mirrors, but I'm a blockage of truth about that. And so we want to undo blockage truth and come back into direct relationship with the part of us that holds the hostility or fear. And in so doing, we get to free ourselves. Join us in freeing ourselves, looking at everything that's unlike love. And our call-in number, if you have a question or a thought, if you're engaging in these tools and there's something that doesn't make sense about it, we're here to support you. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169, 646-200-4169. We'd love to hear your sweet voice and answer any thoughts, questions, concerns you have, or just plain support you in your healing process. This awesome community that's developing globally about supporting people in healing is just such a gift to us. So, Jeannie, do we have any callers, anything happening in the chat room in the way of questions?
No, nobody has their hand up. That internal phone here is ringing. I was trying to wait until it quit. But anyway, there's no questions in the chat room. Nobody. Oh, a couple hands just went up.
Awesome. Let's talk to somebody.
Area code 702, you're on the air.
Hi, Michael and Jeannie. It's Stephen.
Well, hey there, Dr. Andracki. How are you, sir?
Very good. We had our work group last night and worked through some issues, and it was wonderful as usual.
Awesome. Any particular breakthroughs that would be inspiring to share with our listening audience?
Yeah, probably, but it's not going to be in good context for you. There's a very popular show on television called The Dog Whisperer with a gentleman who goes in and says, all you people are the ones with problems. The dogs are just doing what they're supposed to do and what they normally do.
I actually just bought several editions of that on DVD, so I haven't watched them, but I've heard it's really a pretty awesome show, and it kind of fits right in with what we're doing, doesn't it?
It does, because we deny the fact that our actions and our thoughts influence other people. Our cues can control situations and bring up issues for other people in the room and even outside of our presence. And it's so true for animals, and as Caesar proves it over and over again, that it's our energy that we put into it that really is the problem for the animals. And so it was interesting last night that the normal spinoff would and could be, you could be the human whisperer, which is saying that, all you people, you're having problems and you're creating your own issues, and this is how you work through it. And it would be even probably on a much grander and important scale than dealing with animals and people, is dealing with people and people, is looking at these issues, this energy that we're putting into our environment, the energy that's inside us that is causing all the problems that exist in our relationships and relationships with one person and ourselves.
Yeah, precisely the principle we're talking about. It's all done with smoke and mirrors, even with the animals. And when you recognize that and you go inside yourself and start changing those things, it's pretty awesome to watch the results that happen, isn't it?
It is. Humans add the complexity that I don't think dogs want to be right all the time. I don't think they have that in their programming, and I think that that's probably the problem. And that's one of the things that came up last night is everybody wants to be right about their situation, and they're going to hold on to it. And that's the one thing that has to start to be broken down. So that was an interesting development last night, and of course the group, we have new people all the time. We have some old people that have been coming for quite a while, and lots of people who promise that they're going to be there. Lots of people whose future therapy is contingent upon their presence, that they don't show up. So it's people who say, yes, I want to do it, yes, it's important for me, and yet don't show up. So it's humans are interesting that they want to do things, but they just don't really want to do them.
Well, I think that that's kind of one of the oldest games on the planet is I make a new choice. Now I'm going to do things like this from now on until the next time the stress is up and the chips are down, and until we have a recognition of that power person dynamic, that whatever it is, and nobody believes this at first, and sometimes it takes a long time for somebody to get, that the thing that their power person did to them that they hated the most, they do it all the time. But they don't believe it because they can't see it. Their mind twists it to a different reality and makes it, well, this is just an appropriate way for me to defend myself. And, of course, that's exactly what the power person was thinking. This is an appropriate way for me to defend myself. And so they didn't see it as the attack that it really was. And then when the attack is confronted, the stress goes up. Because of blockage, truth, stress goes up, and it's like, then I'm out of here. I'm going to play my old punishment game, whatever it is. And nobody believes they play out the power person dynamic. And until it's forgiven, when the stress is up and the chips are down, you can be guaranteed that that's exactly what is done. And once that's recognized, then the possibility for change exists, and we can go in and forgive those power person dynamics. And in forgiving the power person dynamics, we get to change our behavior.
Well, it's wonderful to put this into practice with our work groups, and it's great to see people participate through. It's great to see people come back. But as you've said before, and as an instance that happened yesterday as well, as people who've been exposed to it in the past, who don't follow the work, don't use tools, put it out of their mind, sometimes come back around, and we always are hoping that people who don't show up or have been there show up in the future, and knowing that even just letting anybody know that there is a possibility and an opportunity to live life differently than what they're doing is at least reassuring that there's a chance for improvement, and it sometimes takes the right time to make it all happen. So Claudia and I continue to be there twice a month, and I'm hoping that this continues on, and we continue to get people to come back if they want to learn and want to do something different.
Fabulous. And so you're doing the group in Pahrump. Is the Spanish group still going on out in Las Vegas?
No. We had a lack of continued interest, a lack of people being referred in. So unfortunately, no. If need be, that I'm sure Claudia would be interested to rekindle that, and the opportunities always exist for developments in the future.
All right. I know that the Unity Church, I actually spoke with Reverend Sophia yesterday, and the Unity Church is still carrying on with the support group. And we're actually making plans with her to be speaking at Unity in Las Vegas when we're out there. Again, we don't know exactly how the travel's going to unfold, but we're going to be in that direction, so we'll hopefully be able to rekindle some interest and see it move forward on another level. And, of course, everybody who says, I want to do it, I mean, they're as sincere can be, but when the stress is up and the chips are down, choice isn't always an option. You'd watch very common in the arena of alcoholism, where the alcoholic just some really abhorrent behavior, and everybody agrees, and they wake up in the morning and go, oh, my God, what have I done? And I will never do that again. And they mean it. They're serious. I mean, sweet people, they're really serious. But the next time the stress is up and the chips are down or the inhibitors are knocked out by the alcohol, they're going to do it again unless they go in and forgive, unless they go in and remove those behaviors. That's why the power person dynamic is so overpowering in most people's lives, because until they first of all, they can't see it and can't start to change it until they can admit and own that it's there. That game of denial, the whole alcohol and drug addiction game of denial. If I deny that this is my behavior, then I can't see. My mind will always hallucinate a different reality, and I won't be able to see that this is, in fact, the impact in the game of my behavior. But, I can't say often enough to people to recognize you do your power person's behavior when the stress is up and the chips are down. And that's why you get the reactions around you that you do. That's why you have pain in your body. That's why you have pain in your emotions. That's why there's hostility and fear. And once you can let down the guard enough to say, really? Do I do that? You got to be kidding. I don't do that. Then, you can start to see that that's when the stress is up and the chips are down. That's exactly what you do. So look at the places where you've got stress. And so those folks who make a choice, they're absolutely sincere, but it takes time to build the brain cells for the fact that it's possible, and then it takes time to build the brain cells and to let go of enough denial to let the truth in and go, So that's what I do, and get to change it. So that's what we're here to support people in doing. We are certainly delighted to have you guys on our team and to be on yours, and we'll look forward to seeing you when we're out there this next tour.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael and Jeannie, and it's always a pleasure to be able to listen and to get some inspiration from you and your words.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Stephen. We hold the space, and we appreciate you guys, love you guys a lot, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Appreciate it when you call, too. Okay, blessings. Bye-bye.
Area code 517, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
I was calling specifically to remind anyone who's on the program that may be in the Michigan area that would love to, take the next step, or if they've taken the step to get the repetition of the Y workshop. Why is this happening to me again? We're going to be doing that in East Lansing tomorrow morning, and runs from 9:15 to 1:30, and we're excited about that. And I also wanted to comment, because it's a pattern I think many of us have, that of I think it was a few programs ago when I shared that I had a breakthrough on the level of commitment, and I had a couple of my clients say to me, how could you possibly say that you're not committed, And I said, well, it wasn't that I said I wasn't committed. What I realized was the level of commitment I had made, and that leads into what really makes this work move and gets it out there is for people like Michael and Jeannie and I and all of the wonderful people that are sharing, Lene and many people across the planet are sharing this work. But what really gets it to happen is when everybody else starts telling other people. And they start saying, hey, this is this stuff. You want to check it out, this real forgiveness stuff. It's cool, or whatever would be inspiring for them. And I've really been processing this to understand it better. And what I've come to understand is it has to do with living that so fully inside that those of us that have that pattern a little bit that are less likely to want to reach out into the world and say, hey, check this out. We're less likely to want to talk to our friends about it, communicate with everyone about how amazing it is if you just use the tools. And I think it comes back to the issue with being afraid of showing ourselves and revealing our true feelings inside to those that we are, in relationship with. And I just wanted to make a comment on that. I'd love to hear anything you have to say about that, Michael or Jeannie or Dr. Tim or anyone else that, is on the program, because I feel it's really important. I've been noticing, obviously I'm making shifts. I feel like it's never outside of myself, but obviously I don't look at it as being, it's all about me at all. But I realize that if I'm teaching workshops, the people that are being drawn to come to those workshops and to share and to learn, the more they talk to other people, the different numbers and the volume of people that are exposed to the work changes. Well, I realized that this workshop the last 2 workshops has felt really different to me. And it's reflected back to that sharing that I did a few weeks ago. It seems like a few weeks ago. I think it was just last week, actually. It might even have been this week. Time becomes really strange. But I recognize that commitment piece, something really has shifted in me. And now I'm seeing people talking to other people. And I've got, Tony, God bless him if he's on the program. I really appreciate it. Tony Hendrick. He's, coming to the workshop. He talked to a number of people, his parents, some other people, and there's just people out there really talking about it now and bringing people. And I was having a conversation with Mitzi about that today, and I said, well, honey, it's really interesting because that's really an important part of the work. And why doesn't more people do that, And so I just, those were my comments and my thoughts, and I'd love to hear anything you have to share. And plus, I just wanted to mention that everyone is welcome to the workshop. And obviously, it's we make it available for everyone, regardless of ability to pay. If they would love to support the work and have it reach every mind on the planet, that's what we're receiving the donations at the end of the workshop for. And it prepares a space for someone in the future to be able to come that may not be able to pay. So that's pretty much what I had to say, and I'll stay on for a few moments here, Michael, just to see if you had anything you wanted to ask or comment to, or anyone else for that matter, and then I'll move it on and let someone else get on the program.
Well, I agree with you, Rex, that the work spreads when other people share it, and it's a two-edged benefit. One of the benefits, of course, is that the energy of the ideas themselves, which are so opposite to what the world teaches, that as each person is introduced and starts to see the logic and embody it, they create a literal energy field that makes for shifting and changing and strengthens that field. And the second one is that as you introduce the people around you to the work, some of them might think you're a little crazy, but there are a lot of them that are going to go, that makes sense, and be pretty excited about it. Then you have a built-in support team for supporting you in doing the work. There's nothing more valuable. At Heartland, we've had people over the years who come and they'll do a work program or they'll do an intensive or what have you, and they will express at the end of their time there how valuable it was to be, have their stuff come up. They were on the phone with somebody who missed them or whatever, and they went into their little fit, and they're walking up the road, they meet 1 or 2 or 3 different people, and they just, have a 10-second interaction or a 30-second interaction. All of a sudden, by the third person, they're right into the core of what that issue is. They're supported in changing their minds instead of staying in the snit and moving into a state where they recognize that more valuable than anything is the active presence of love, their human lives, rather than the good old family feeling of if I stay in my snit, then everybody will feel sorry for me, or I'll get to control people, or I'll get to whatever the story is that the mind tells for holding on to its upset and its rage and its grief and its pain. It's like we're not designed for that. And so when you have a whole community, that wonderful African proverb you've heard me use so often, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And a whole community. So if you introduce the work to the person next door, be very, very sure that next week when you're in the middle of your stuff, that person's going to remind you and say, hey, remember when you were telling me last week about this and this and this? And, well, it sounds like maybe you could use that idea right now, and bang, you've got support all around you. And it's awesome when you have that kind of support all around you. I know that the expression we hear from people all the time of appreciation for that to come to Heartland is pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Right on, Michael.
All right, so
Thank you.
we've got a workshop this weekend. And
yes, we do.
StillPointBreathOfLife.com. People can go and pick up the flyer this weekend, and you've got one next weekend too, right?
Actually, no. I've done 3 weekends in a row. I'm going to be taking a couple weekends off, and then I'm doing. Cool. I have the Mind Shifters. I think I'm going to be changing it. The Mind Shifters Still Point Breathing Workshop will be the next workshop, and I have scheduled it the last weekend without realizing it was the holiday weekend. So I'm going to move that to the 2nd of June, right, rather than have it be on the first, holiday weekend. So other than that, I've got I'm in the process of scheduling some more workshops. I'm going to be down in the Coptic Center again in June, and hopefully we'll be able to put some workshops together down there. And they want me to come back and speak in August again, so we're going to tie in some workshops for that. So just gradually starting to get my schedule more in the future, which is exciting. And I'm excited about participating in the intensive. I was just looking at the dates for the intensives. That's what I just opened up your site as you were speaking there.
Right.
So I'm going to do it looks like, and I wanted to talk to you about this, but, I've been obviously doing the work for a long time, and I'm going to be doing a 9-day, and I'm hoping Mitzi will participate as well, and she's done the intensives with you as well. So right. That's kind of what we're looking at, but she's not sure she's going to be able to get away for, we would almost have to take a week and a half, or 2 weeks actually, for the travel time. So right. That's just, we're processing that. I don't want to take up the road program time. But at any rate, it looks like the second one that I had spoke of, and that's the July 31st through August 8th.
Uh-huh. Great.
And is that the teacher training or?
That's teacher training, yes.
Yes.
It sure is.
Cool.
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, put you on the list for it, for sure.
Yeah, put me on for sure, and there's a good chance I've got to give these dates to Mitzi and speak more with her when she gets back into town on Sunday, so then we'll know for sure and make that call. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. Blessings, and I'll remove myself, but still listening in.
All right, love and blessings. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So our call-in number, 646-200-4169. We'd love to hear your sweet voice and love to know how we can support you in learning, teaching, taking this work, starting support groups. I don't know if Dr. Tim's with us today, but Dr. Tim, having done a support group for the last 7 years in Chicago, has repeatedly spoken about how much benefit he's gotten personally by engaging at that level in this work. And you don't have to be overly knowledgeable about this work to facilitate a support group. What most support groups start out with is studying and working with the videos. So we've got 15 different 2-hour DVDs, and that's where the support groups usually start. And as that happens, then someone will sometimes come and who wants to facilitate, will do a training, a 9-day Y or a teacher's training or what have you, and take it back and take the work to the next level, as Rex has done. And it's the last couple of years that Rex has started teaching it after 20 years of facilitating here and there, and it's just delightful to have you doing that, Rex. Jean, do we have any callers? Anything happening on the website?
Area code 970, you're on the air.
Hey, Michael and Jeannie, it's Carrie in Colorado. How are you today?
Hi, Carrie in Colorado. How do you be? That's got a nice ring to it.
I'm awesome. Sounds like it belongs. I'm really enjoying the spring and the leaves on the trees and the sunshine, and it's just such a treat. Just listening to the show earlier, I just wanted to share, because you were talking about commitment to doing worksheets and to doing the work. And, boy, I've been just going through so much deep digging in the last few weeks in regard to a relationship that transitioned last spring, and still, getting layers coming up of, feeling like I'm at fault and like I don't know, just a lot of different things. And just pulling out the worksheets and doing them. And I can't even it's just amazing how much doing those worksheets is clearing layers. And I know it's clearing out age-old stuff. I was wondering the other day if people really understood what Yeshua was talking about when he was here. I was kind of curious as to what you thought about that. And was he really a carpenter at one point in his life? And I'm really excited that Coptics is getting involved. John Davis is a longtime friend of mine, and I know a lot of the Coptics over the years, and that's really exciting too. So anyway, kind of a little data dump here, but I'm so, so grateful for this work and for tools that as these things come up to really be able to relieve some of the pressure, to relieve the blockage of life that is ingrained in me from many generations, and to begin really watching a lighter level of my being be able to surface.
Yeah, it is nice to let go of lugging around the garbage, isn't it? We were in Jacksonville, and last Sunday we had a Sunday off, which is pretty rare, and so we went to the service with Reverend Gene was speaking, and he told a story with a little different twist, and it's a more graphic way than the way that I tell it, or the way that I had understood it, and that is the story of the way they trap monkeys in India, and I had always understood, and both stories are probably accurate, but what they would do is they would take a coconut, cut a small hole in it big enough for a monkey to put its hand in, nail it to a tree, put food in it that would be attractive to the monkey come along and grab the coconut, or stick its hand in and grab the food, and even though it was now trapped by its closed fist, it didn't know enough, it wasn't smart enough to open its fist so it could get its hand out and get free. Well, the way Reverend Gene told it this weekend was a little different in that they have, and I guess this is somewhere in Southeast Asia, these large gourds that are kind of, I guess, a hard shell gourd, and they do a similar thing. They cut a hole big enough for the monkey to get his hand in, and they stick a banana in it, and the monkey comes along and sticks its hand in the gourd to get the banana, and now it's trapped. And so here it is, and it's a good visual. Here it is, dragging this huge gourd around, trying to escape the hunters. Well, not very mobile when you're pulling something around that's maybe half your body weight. And you look at how people, they proclaim how perfect they are. I've never done anything wrong. Well, yeah, I've done all kinds of things wrong, but when the stress is up and the chips are down, they'll never admit it because there's this need to stay perfect and to always see themselves as perfect and never admit to a fault. But they drag this gourd around, they drag this load everywhere they go, and they wonder why. There's drama and trauma and pain and the unwillingness to do what it takes to let go of it. And so definitely a lightness where you don't have to drag your gourd definitely makes life a lot easier. And in essence, I think we could sum up the whole body of work of the man named Yeshua. Now, people want to put it in some kind of another magical context, but he came with a real understanding of how to let go of your gourd and showed people how to do it. And the teaching was lost because, if you're a hunter, you really want people to be dragging gourds around. You really want to be able to catch them when you want them. And that's kind of how most people live, is they're dragging around this load of baggage. How can you tell if you're dragging a load of baggage? Well, how quickly do you shift into hostility or fear? How much pain is there in your body? Then you know what your gourd is. Now, if you stay in denial and your conversation's about somebody else, then you don't ever get to let go of your gourd. And, that's kind of, to me, the bottom line, and it definitely makes life so much easier to let loose the load and to move forward in the truth of who we are and the awesome beings that we are designed to be, that we are this active presence of love. And when we meet each other on the field of that active presence of love, life is awesome. When life becomes too awesome for most people, the next layer comes up and they go into resistance and don't want to deal with that layer. They want to keep pretending that what they're experiencing is about somebody else. And so their conversation goes on, as if only you would be this way, then I wouldn't have to feel this way. And it's like just the biggest lie the mind has ever told.
You know,
and
Michael. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I believe you were involved, and I was as well, in a field called body electronics. And one of the really great blessings that I had from that long ago was learning that pain is really a messenger. And when we have pain, when we go into the pain, we dissolve it. And these tools are just so perfect and really wonderful and alchemical. And I think in our culture, we're so conditioned to, I know so many people that take an Advil or a Tylenol when they have pain, and I think, I've trained myself not to do that, or, that isn't in my sort of repertoire, because I learned so long ago that going into the pain, there is a message there's a teaching, there's a transformational learning, and there's an evolution of ourselves. So pain is really this blockage of life, and when we go into that pain, when we can become aware enough, and I think that's the most difficult thing. I think when people have resistance to doing the work, or, struggle with getting out a worksheet, and I know sometimes I'll do worksheets and I literally am just about going unconscious. I'm wanting to fall asleep over the worksheet because I'm dealing with things that are at such a deep level, and it's really a part, again, of the process. But that I think culturally we're so conditioned with alcohol, drugs, medications, that pain is something to run away from, to avoid, and to sedate ourselves against. And I think part of this work is learning that, again, that going into the pain is there's a teacher there, there's transformation there, and there's actually more life hidden there. And all that the pain really is a blockage that's suppressing the life force. So I think that's it's a way of thinking, maybe to educate ourselves in that when there's pain and coming up, that going into it is the greatest thing that we can possibly do.
Yeah, one of my favorite tongue-in-cheek lines about pain is that the purpose of pain is to make our ears grow. It gets our attention, it gets us to listen, and when we start letting our ears grow, instead of being in blockage of truth and having conversations about everybody else, when you've been through that same pain 87 different times with 42 different people, sooner or later you go, maybe this pain is about me. Maybe this pain isn't about them. Maybe if I change my conversation and instead of talking about how they're the problem, maybe if I just said, I have a problem, then I can delve into that part of me that pain is pointing to. I can change that part of me, and all of a sudden I've accomplished this wonderful result as a consequence of my pain, and it's pretty awesome to do that.
Yeah, and remembering to breathe.
And remembering to breathe. Yeah, definitely that breath is a big one for sure.
Yep. Well, neat. Well, thank you guys again so much for doing this work, and for everybody that's involved everywhere. It is, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most powerful movements on the planet. It's shifting 2,000 years of thinking down the wrong road, and thank you so much for your dedication, yours and Jeannie's, and what you're doing. So I really appreciate it.
You are most welcome. Glad to be on the team, and we'll look forward to the next time we get face-to-face.
Absolutely.
We'll probably be out heading out Colorado way maybe sooner rather than later. I'm not just sure how it's going to unfold yet. We're working on the fall schedule.
Cool. That's exciting. Okay. Take care.
All right. Blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Jeannie, do we have any callers? Anything happening in the chat room? Questions, thoughts, answers, ideas? Is Dr. Tim with us? Is David with us today?
David's with us. Tim wasn't just a minute ago. I've had to reboot my computer, so I'll let you know in a minute if there's anybody on the switchboard. But
Okay.
David's on there.
Hey, David. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Michael. Glad to hear that you guys are doing so well and things are moving along. Sounds like everyone connected to the show was really having some movements, real new insights. And that's always a pleasure to be a part of.
And perhaps in more ways than one.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So you're still in Sarasota enjoying the beach?
I am in Sarasota. Today was the first day I stayed away from the beach, having that wonderful effect of getting a Florida tan and time to stay out of the sun for a little bit. I'm actually going to be heading back towards Heartland on Sunday. It looks like Sunday. And so just connecting with some more family members tonight and tomorrow, and then it looks like I'll be heading back on Sunday. We'll see how that unfolds.
All right, well, travel safely. Anything exciting in terms of conversations? I know that over the last several years you've been talking with many different family members about the work and about the tools. Anything gelling in that direction?
Well, I think just the what I'm seeing and noticing is that there's a different level of willingness to participate in conversations around forgiveness and letting go of things and being personally responsible and for the thoughts and the feelings and the actions that are involved. There seems to be from my perception, a kindness, a thoughtfulness that's emerging. So that's always a good sign, at least from my perspective it is.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, all things moving forward, we're getting ready to start on Sunday with Why Is This Happening to Me Again here at Unity in Jacksonville, Florida. We'll be doing 7 days of workshops. We're actually at the church right now. We've got things all set up and ready to rock and roll on Sunday. Looking forward to an exciting week here. So Jeannie, did your computer come back up, or are you back in operation here?
Area code 607, you're on the air.
607. Richard.
Yeah, it's Richard. How you doing?
Hey, blessed and highly favored. How about you, sir?
Oh, still on the road. I just wanted to say I had a wonderful meeting with Carrie the other night, and we enjoyed dinner together. And being on the road, obviously, it's easy to be aware of your thoughts, and you're talking about the mind bringing up all these things in your mind. I'm real aware that that's been happening for me all along my trip. And so the question is, how does one interrupt that besides doing the worksheets, or how does one interrupt that so that obviously I'm aware of it. The real question is, how does one interrupt the cycle?
Well, if you remember when that question comes up in the intensives, my stock answer is always up in the upper right-hand corner of the board, and that is all of the above. And really, it's all we ever talk about. Breathe is a big key. Just simply remembering if I'm in the middle of one of my patterns, if I watch myself, I'm holding my breath, and to take a breath. And then, the whole variety of tools that we're teaching, of course, the main one being the forgiveness process, but it can be a place to plug in and sit down and write a mind shifter and work on the mind shifter tool to surface and look at things that are going on under the surface. The codependence worksheet, where I look at the advice that I have for others and I start following it in my life, can be another way to do it. Pick up the commitment and read it to someone or read it to yourself becomes a very powerful thing to do in the middle of the muddle, when love has disappeared, when the active presence of the human life disappears. Bringing that commitment back into expression can be a powerful way to move in a different direction. putting an end to the game of projection communication where, somebody's in stress and their whole conversation's about what you did, or, when we're having a conversation about somebody else when we're in pain, we're totally, completely 100% off base, and we're playing a game with ourselves where we're hallucinating out of the painful material that's going on inside of us, hallucinating a picture of somebody else and talking about them. Well, our physiology is producing the pain. And you can't change the pain that your physiology is producing as long as you're in a conversation about somebody else. So interrupting the cycle with responsibility communication. Looking at the mind goal management sheet. Each of the tools is another way for interrupting those patterns and to take life in a different direction. So that's what the whole thing is about.
Great. So I just happened to be at my niece's last night, and of course she has a baby that's about a year old now, and it was wonderful to see a happy baby, just to keep saying happy baby and see her glow and smile. So
right.
It's an image I'm burning into my own mind. Happy baby.
Yeah, remember who you are, right?
Right.
That's really what it's all about. And it's amazing how easily and how quickly we can forget, isn't it?
Yeah, because, it's easy to forget that, inside that's what we once were, as you say, and remembering that, again, is the remembrance of love, remembrance of being in a state of love. And as you say, one person says, we're Velcro for the pain, but Teflon for the good. So it's easy to get trapped in the pain, but not see the good, and recall the goodness of life and the goodness of who we really are.
Well, if you remember that Harvard research, it says that in a time frame where 10,000 brain cells fire, the maximum amount of information that go into conscious awareness is 9 bits. And when you recognize that little tiny time frame of 9 bits, and once it's full, there's no room for anything else. And so if the good old family feeling is set for hostility and fear and grief and pain and sadness and just feeling kind of blah about life, that's where what the mind will tend to be filled with. That 9-bit space will tend to be filled with that. Well, there are a million other awesome possibilities. But those other possibilities, there's not room for them to get in once the 9-bit mind's full. And that's really one of the most powerful things about the forgiveness process, and that is that you collapse that information that's occupying the mind. You get to be out of your mind for a little bit, and all kinds of new possibilities show up. One of the most dramatic examples of being out of your mind is when somebody experiences clinical death. What the world calls a near-death experience is really a near-life experience, and it's a result of literally the body's mind shutting up because clinical death has occurred. And when that happens, all of a sudden the space of awareness is filled with human life, which many people haven't tasted since they were very small, since they were that small, happy baby. And to become just filled with hallucinations of a world of danger, of fear, of hatred, of vengeance, of anger, of sadness, of attack, of threat, on and on it goes. And if one is brought up in an environment where it's attack at every moment, then the expectation of attack is there, the hallucination of attack is there, and then the propensity to attack is there, and it's all blocked out. And interrupting that whole process through forgiveness is one of the key elements of the healing process for sure. Yeah,
I wanted to speak. Carrie was talking about the electric body. I don't know if I talked to you about this since when I was in California. We were basically on the floor doing a little bit of movement, rocking with our feet, sensing how initiating movement through our feet translates through our whole body. And the woman had us put, as the therapist, put their hands cross-handed on the knees, and person I was working, or I was the client, she was the therapist, and she was basically trying to give the initiation feeling of having us initiate through the thighs. Anyway, she went to remove her hands, and my body, I was in a state where my body reacted as if their hands were two magnets pulling my knees together, and, you know, I literally had this feeling of being drawn together by these hands, you know, these magnets. And it was pretty wild because the therapist goes, "What was that?" And at first I said, "Well, I don't know exactly, but, you know," and of course I didn't experience that again after that. But the next day I went to her and I told her, I said, "You know, what that was an experience where the therapist and the client literally were connected energetically. And, of course, when you went to move your hand, remove your hands, that energy connection was broken." And so I was basically telling her that what you were experiencing was that one-to-one connection that we so rarely feel between two people.
Right. And
anyway,
to recognize that connection is always there. I love what Einstein says when he says, if you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion. And this optical delusion that keeps us separate is something that's just ultimately got to go. There's a fabulous video that Jeannie's got a link under other links on our website, an interview with a woman named Jill Bolte-Taylor, who's a neuroscientist who realizes she's having a left brain stroke and describes the whole process, and all of a sudden comes to a state of bliss. She knows she may be dying, but it doesn't matter. She's in bliss because she's connected to her human beingness. And as she comes back, you know, she does recover. It takes her about 8 years to recover and re-educate herself. But now she says, I know that all that hostility and fear-based stuff is an hallucination of the left brain, because when my left brain kicked out, that stuff was just gone, and I just lived like a human. And so to embody that human life is a pretty awesome thing. And so we'll look forward to getting to play with you in just a few weeks to share the next level of us all learning that together.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, sir. Have a blessed one. Take care.
You too.
Drive safely.
I will.
Okay, bye-bye. And just a reminder that we're in Jacksonville, Florida. We're doing 7 days of workshops starting on Sunday, right at the Unity Church in Jacksonville. And then July the 12th, July 12th to 21st, we'll start with a food fund forgiveness and work project at Heartland. It'll be kind of an economy program where we'll be doing, Chef Ari is going to come from Chicago to do some awesome food work with us. And then there'll be some work projects. It'll be getting the property in shape for intensives kind of time frame. And then we'll be working with the forgiveness process, of course, still point breathing, the Mind Shifters tool. There'll be several different tools. We'll be doing evening class sessions. So that'll be the first 10 days of our season at Heartland. And then we're going to do a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And if you've done that 9-day before, we've got some special pricing on the website to review. You can review that at half price, and or teachers training will be the next 9-day segment, and anyone who's done teachers training previously is welcome to come and review for half price. And so if you check the website, www.whyagain.com, there's an opportunity for somebody who's totally new. We've got some special pricing for, it's actually going to end up being a 28-day program from the beginning of the food fund forgiveness and work projects through to the end of teacher training. It'll be a total of 28 days. And you'll be able to, if you haven't ever done an intensive with us, for $3,500, you can come and immerse yourself for a month in doing some deep inner work. So 28 days, totally inclusive, food, accommodations, workshop materials, everything totally completely included. And we can work up a payment plan if you need to do that, if you're interested in coming and participating in that. And if you've done a 9-day intensive or teacher training before, we've got some special pricing that would drop that down. So if you want to come spend the whole month, it can get pretty cost efficient to come and be with us doing this gourmet, fresh and raw food. Actually, the Food Fund Forgiveness portion and work portion will be doing some cooked recipes too. Ari's got some new things on the burner, literally, that he's going to be sharing with us about food cooking as well as raw dishes. So it should be an interesting 10 days. So if it's interested in that, you can go to the website. The flyer is there on the website, and we'd be delighted to see you. And starting the month of July 12th will be the opening time frame, and I think it goes through August the 8th. And then we'll be back on the road on August the 9th. So lots happening in the world. So we're delighted that you're with us, Ginny. Anybody in the chat room have any questions? Chat room's been pretty quiet the last several days.
No, nobody's got any questions in the chat room. Nobody else has their hand up. So we've got about 4 minutes. 646-200-4169. Press 1. That puts you in queue.
So if you're on the phone and you have a question for us, the way to get into direct conversation with Jeannie and I is to just press 1, and that will put you in queue. And if you have pressed 1 and we're telling you there's nobody in line, we'd ask you to try again or maybe just do a quick hang up and redial. I've been having some trouble lately, and so I'm not sure if they've got all the glitches taken care of for the radio calling number. So 646-200-4169. And we're going to be heading west once we finish. Actually going to start off right after the 9-day teacher training. We're going to be heading off to Canada and then heading west from there. So if you've got anywhere in the central part of the U.S. or Canada and you want us to come play, we would love to do that. And basically all we need is an invitation and some of the parameters of the facility that you're thinking about, the kind of audience we'd have, and we pay our own expenses. The workshops are done free, so we'd be delighted to entertain your invitations for workshop presentations anywhere, basically heading west from we're going to be heading to Ontario, Canada first, and then head west from there. So we're going to be doing some things in Toronto, and then heading into the western parts of the country. So our call-in number is 646-200-4169. If you and I were sitting in a room by ourselves and all that's been said so far in the show had been said, would you have a question for me? And if so, we'd ask you to just hit 1, and that will put you in queue.
We have a hand up. Area code 813. 813, you're on the air.
Hello, Michael and Jeannie. This is Linda.
Well, hey there, young lady. Welcome.
How are you? 9-day.
I got your voice.
Yeah, you know my voice.
I got you. Yeah, how you be?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I just wanted to call and thank you for all that you taught me and how you helped me. I just appreciate it so much. I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, we're delighted to be here and on the team, and we were actually sharing about yesterday. I don't know if you were on the show yesterday, but we were sharing about the call-in that you'd done the week before. You were saying that for over 3 decades you've lived at a level 100 fear in your life, and that you're pretty much playing the game at a 0 at this point. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's going really well. I'm just, as soon as I feel something that doesn't belong, I just forgive it, and it's gone. I don't let it in to stay. So
that's awesome.
I'm staying on a good diet, mostly vegetarian, and I just feel great.
Very cool.
So it really works.
It was delightful to watch you do your work during that intensive, and the layers that you went through were pretty heavy duty, and to watch you come out the other side and be willing to claim the constructive side of your life and the truth of your being is so powerful, and we're glad to have you out there doing it. That's part of what's going to create the critical mass that will bring a shift to the world. And so thank you for being on the team, and our show's just about over, so we're going to say to everybody, have the best year yet of your eternal life. Linda, you have a blessed day, and we'll look forward to the next time we get face-to-face. Take care. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeannie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeannie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.